James to the top of a mountain that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar stood on for more than 38 years at 38,387 career points. Needing just 36 to overtake Abdul-Jabbar, he finished the night with 38 points on 13 of 20 for shooting. But the Lakers still came up short with a 133-130 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Some optimism seeping out of Santa Clara, the 49ers are hiring Steve Wilkes, who was most recently the interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers, as their next defensive coordinator, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter on Tuesday. The news just comes 1 week after acclaimed defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans departed to become Houston Texans head coach. And now back to hoops. The Kings finally conclude their 7-day roadie with a rematch against the Rockets at the Toyota Center in Houston. You can find all of your game night coverage right here on Sactown Sports immediately following Cattles and Ramie. Those are your Sactown Sports headlines. I'm Simone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Cattles and Ramie.
LeBron has it 15 feet away from the goal. LeBron for the record. He's got it. He's got it. LeBron James is now the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. The king wears the crown.
That is a fantastic call. Thanks to Spectrum.
Really solid call right there.
That is just a great call. Great play-by-play call. And I thought BA on TNT was pretty good too. We'll hear that a little bit later. We got some talk going on, Ramie. Some trade rumors we'll get into in a little while. A 3-team trade, Deuce and Mo crushing the trade coverage before we got in today. So we'll get into that trade rumor and how it might impact the Kings. But let's start off with the biggest story in sports. And, of course, we're talking about what happened last night. Even though my guy Ramie was knee-deep in Arrested Development last night.
Does that make me like a bad sports fan?
Probably not a good one. Okay. Yeah. When you're watching Arrested Development, which is about a 15-year-old show, I think, right? But
my girlfriend doesn't care about LeBron. What am I going to make her watch that for? She goes to bed before I do. I was like, I'll catch up. I'll see what happened.
Very thoughtful.
Right?
I'm not saying you're a bad boyfriend. Right. You're a fantastic boyfriend. Not the best sports fan. Not the best sports fan in this case. I was watching it. I'm sure a lot of people were watching it. I'm talking about LeBron breaking Kareem's record, all-time scoring in NBA history. I love watching history. I remember watching Mark McGuire's home run. I remember watching Bonds' home run. And, of course, I'll remember where I was last night watching LeBron break the record. And what's crazy, here's what's crazy. This cat needed 36 points to break the record, and everybody knew that he needed 36 points to break the record. He did it in less than 3 quarters, and he did it by shooting 12 of 18 from the field. Like, incredibly efficient. At 38 years old, he just walked out there, dominated in 3 quarters, and said, okay, record done. I can move on.
I told you there was no chance he wasn't getting it last night when I saw him walk into the arena with the suit that he walked in with and the swagger that he walked in with. And then did you see when he went out to the for his shoot around? He had headphones on, and across the top of the band of the headphones, he had, what was the number? 38, 888 written across the top of his headphones. Like he was a man on a mission. And when LeBron is a man on a mission, he cannot be stopped.
He called his shot, and he also wore the headband that he wore at his NBA debut here in Sacramento many years ago. Here was LBJ last night talking about rocking the headband.
And I dressed for the occasion, like you said, and I put on the headband because that's where the journey started. And I would have had to pay for another room in a hotel for another night for my boys.
Yeah, I got that one in there, didn't he? Squeeze that one in. But the case that
LeBron is pinching pennies. Oh man, another night in the hotel.
I think he's fine. I think he's going to make it. Yeah, I think
trying to say LeBron doesn't budget.
I think LeBron could buy a few hotels if he'd like. I don't think he's worried about a room within a hotel. But yeah, the fact that he walked out there and he called this shot, he really did call his shot by what he was wearing, as you mentioned, the headband, the Dre beats, all of it. He called this shot, and you could tell he knocked down 2 of those threes in the third quarter, and you knew this thing, it's only a matter of time before we bid adieu to Kareem's record. And just a very, very impressive individual performance, because it certainly was not a great team performance, but a very, very impressive individual performance. And here was LeBron in the postgame talking about it.
I don't think it has hit me. I had a moment, obviously when it happened and embracing that moment and seeing my family and my friends and people that's been around me since I started this journey, even before the NBA. So, definitely had a moment right there, very emotional, just to, knowing just, me be from a kid from a small town in Ohio. And, I had a moment there, but I don't think it's really hit me on what just transpired.
Okay. I do think it hit him. And he mentioned I had a little bit of a moment. Last night, to me, LeBron was trying to balance making it something and trying not to make it something. And there were times that it was obvious that it hit him. I mean, the dude broke down for a little bit there at midcourt, and good for him. It was a show of emotion. He's not a robot.
That's a lifetime of work.
I mean, just think about, him looking up at the scoreboard and him looking around the arena and having that moment of, holy crap, out of all of the players that have played in the NBA throughout the history of this game, I am at the very tippity top of this list.
Yeah.
That's something that will absolutely and should absolutely shake you to your core.
And LeBron, and I've talked about this before, he puts on a lot. And I think that's because he's been a public figure and he's been in the spotlight for so long that a lot of the time he's performing and he's putting out an image or a portrayal that he wants people to think of when they think of LeBron James.
Yes.
To me, my favorite LeBron James is when we just get the genuine LeBron James.
The raw emotion.
Just the real, let down the facade, let down whatever image you want people to have of you. And like you said, just that kid from Akron. And I didn't watch the game live, but I watched the press conference live after the game.
Of course you did.
And I was, not choked up, but I got I got goosebumps. I got a tingle down my spine, whatever you want to call it, when that side of him came out and he talked about all his kids and his family and having everybody around him and this being the moment that it was for. I know he kept on trying to play it off. I think even part of that is the real LeBron coming through. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to make too big a deal of it because we're still not a good basketball team. We're still losing, and it feels a little bit self-aggrandizing to be doing all this right now when we're such a bad basketball. I think that's what was coming through when he was like not trying to make it too big a moment at times, but I like LeBron James the dude, you know what I mean? And especially when we get the real LeBron James the dude come out. And we saw that last night, and I thought that was a really cool moment.
The genuine guy and not the brand. And I thought one of the things that I saw at halftime that was really cool to me before they went back out on the floor, and it was the very end of halftime, and TNT was showing LeBron, and he was sitting on the back of the stanchion next to his 2 sons. And they were just sitting there talking. And I'm like, to be a part of that conversation would be magical, right? I mean, your dad is about to break the all-time scoring record. It's at halftime. He's just kicking it with you, and you're just having a normal, everyday kind of conversation. I mean, that was really cool to see. Here was more from LeBron in the postgame.
I write the man in the arena on my shoe every single night from Theodore Roosevelt. And tonight I actually felt like I was like sitting on top of the arena tonight when that shot went in and the roar from the crowd. I'm not sure if I would be able to feel that feeling again unless it's like a game-winning finals shot. But it won't be a stop and play. It's just, everything just stopped.
I call LeBron the Tom Brady of the NBA. And the idea that this guy at 38 years old is doing things that just defy that age. There you go. But there's a difference between LeBron and Brady. And it's a significant difference. Brady had no expectations coming out of Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's a great story about how he rose above that, used it as a chip on his shoulder, and exceeded everybody's wildest expectations for his career and grew into the best of all time to a lot of people. LeBron, the exact opposite.
I can't imagine.
This was a dude at like 16. By the time he was driving,
16,
people were like, he could be the guy. In high school, he could be the guy. He was one of the first dudes that ESPN had his high school games on. He could be the guy.
He was on the cover of SI.
There were
when that was a big deal.
There are so many of those. There was the Darko Miliciches. There was the, Felipe Lopez way back in the day. These young guys that were, earmarked as the dude. This guy not only fulfilled the potential and those expectations, he exceeded the expectations. And at 17, 18 years old, I don't think anybody would have guessed the way he was being talked about that he would even reach this kind of level. And that tells you, Ramie, about his competitiveness, about his work ethic, about his dedication, his ability to play at this level at 38 years old. And that's how you go from being 15, 16 years old, being talked about across the country as the next big thing, and you actually become that next big thing.
His mental and emotional wherewithal, man. You know what I mean? I think that goes back to the support system. Expectations come with weight. And I can't imagine at 16 being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, being on ESPN, people speaking my name at 16 years old in the same breath as Michael Jordan. Like, this guy might be the next Michael Jordan. Most fully developed adult human beings would curl up in the fetal position with those types of expectations weighing on them. This dude, they showed an interview last night on SportsCenter, and when he came into the league, he said, if they want me to be the face of the league, I'm ready for that. When he came into the league as an 18-year-old, if they want me to be the face of the league, I'm ready for that. That's crazy. Like, who has that mindset and that mental wherewithal? It's insane. And the longevity is equally impressive.
And that ability to exceed the expectations, to take the challenge, embrace the challenge at a young age, and for the past 20 years, to be able to do that speaks volumes of his mental toughness. It really, really does. And it also is the difference between him and other greats that were before him. This idea that not only was he in these magazines, not only was he on the cover of these mags, not only was he doing these interviews at 18 years old, being called the face of the NBA, but he also had a deal in the social media age. When you got YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook, and he even lived through MySpace, right, as a player. He's gone through all the social media stages, and he's been able to keep pretty much a whistly clean kind of image away from the floor while exceeding those crazy hyper expectations. You can't say enough about what the guy's done. And again, he drives me nuts about some of the stuff he does, and I will criticize him about some of the stuff, the quasi GMs and the subtweeting and all.
Sure.
But there's absolutely no denying and no debate that this guy,
the floor over a missed call.
Yep.
That part.
But there's no debate that this guy is one of the best of all time. And if somebody says, hey, he's my favorite player, or I think he's the GOAT, he's done so many things in his career. And he's first all time in scoring, fourth all time in assists. Wrap your head around that. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely insane. 916-339-1140 is the text line. 1-800-920-1140 is the phone number. You can give us a call if you'd like to talk about LeBron, talk about the Kings. We got Kings Rockets tonight. Also, don't forget youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up. It would be much appreciated. We'll get your reaction to LeBron. Also in 90 seconds, the latest on a rumored NBA blockbuster deal.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Your afternoon home for Kings talk and more
This is Cattles and Ramie.
on Sactown Sports.
This Saturday, I'll be out at the Hard Rock Casino.
Look at you.
Starting at 11 a.m.
Ooh.
Hitting them tables early.
Nick, I'm going to be there with you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at you.
there goes
I don't
my
know.
Saturday.
What was that?
Yeah.
Ew. I'm out of here.
There goes my Saturday. No, looking forward to it. Can't wait.
I haven't been to that casino.
Neither have I.
Yeah, there we go. First time for everything.
I'll be there with Simone.
Yeah.
People will show up to see Simone. They ain't going to show up to see me.
You know
They
it.
couldn't care less.
Cattles.
So apparently myself and Simone will be at the Hard Rock Cafe on
Look
Saturday,
at that.
starting at 11 a.m., along with Sactown Sports finalists who will be competing for a chance at $50,000 in a football toss.
Oh,
This is courtesy of Elk Grove Dodge.
hey now.
Yeah.
Did you say 50,000?
They have to throw a Nerf football into I believe it's a,
The window.
not a window.
No, it's not the sunroof. It's a
It's
window.
not the sunroof, it's the window.
Yes.
I thought it was the sunroof.
Yes,
I
I
didn't
did
even know what it
too.
was.
Initially, that's the way it seemed, but now it is a window.
So they got to throw
passenger
it through
window.
a couple of times, right? And if they're able to
Yes.
do that, 50 G's.
Wow.
Yep. 50 racks.
Wow.
50 G's.
I'm not eligible, huh?
By the way, somebody, no, you're not.
Because I got an arm on me.
Do you?
I do.
I got to see that in action.
Oh.
It's going up tonight for sure.
By the way, Javier says Ramie was not watching LeBron last night. He was at the supermarket.
No. I was home. I was home.
crushing
I was
Rayleigh's.
just not watching. I was watching Arrested Development. It's a great show.
LeBron just broke the record. I don't care. Where's the tuna?
You know, you brought up Mark McGuire and that whole home run chase, dude. I was so locked into that. It was appointment. Like I would run home after school to go and see watch baseball, because you could turn on ESPN and they'd break into programming whenever Sammy or Mark McGuire, any of those guys who were in the race, would come up to bat. And I was pretty locked into that. I don't know what's happened to me. I should have been locked into LeBron the same way last night, and I wasn't. You know what the difference is?
What's the difference?
Got a girlfriend now. Back then, it was all about sports for
That's
this
like
guy.
happy wife, happy life. What's
Exactly.
happy girl, happy?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Got
Got to figure that out. By the way, couple things here. Twitter's down.
Apparently,
if you could choose one of the worst times for Twitter to not be working optimally, it'd be right now.
yeah, I'm getting like no tweets loading.
Less than
Like-
24 hours before the trade deadline, and Twitter is broken.
It's kind of working. Is this it? Is this what people have been talking about since, you know?
I don't know. I haven't gotten
takeover?
I haven't gotten a new tweet in like 4 minutes, which is, in Twitter world, that's like 15 days. So
Mm.
Yeah, like mine are 7 minutes out.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Twitter's down. Not
Woo.
great. But thankfully, before Twitter was down, there were tweets about a possible trade, Ramie. And I want your thoughts. We're going to get into the Kings in a minute here. But Shams tweeted out, Lakers, Utah, Minnesota, 3-team trade being discussed. D'Angelo Russell to L.A., along with one of Vanderbilt or Beasley. And it sounds like, according to Woj, Malik Beasley would be the one going to the Lakers. So the Lakers would get D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. Utah would get Russell Westbrook and a first-round pick. Westbrook would be bought out. He's not going to stay in Utah. Conley would go to Minnesota.
Okay.
Thoughts on that trade, if it
I'm
happens?
still trying to process it and figure out exactly what every team looks like when this is all said and done.
I think when you look at L.A., it makes L.A. better. D'Angelo Russell is better than Russell Westbrook as far as fit with that team.
For sure.
But Beasley helps them as well as a shooter. He's a legit shooter, and he's got some length.
I think those
he's
two
a
guys,
wing.
those are significant upgrades for the Lakers.
I don't think it'd be great news for the Kings because the Lakers would get better. I think Minnesota would be better with
Minnesota
Conley.
would be better with Conley than
And
they are
nobody
right now.
cares about Utah. Utah's they know what they're doing. They're going to ship pieces out over the next day.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody is afraid of the Jazz. So
They're in the one minute.
I don't think it's great because it would make the Lakers better and it would make Minnesota better. All right.
Does
with
it
that
make
said,
them better than the Kings as they stand right now?
Look, I think if Davis is healthy and LeBron stays healthy, they're a dangerous team if you have a competent point guard and a couple of bench pieces. Like I saw somebody tweet, I don't know who it was and I can't get to it because Twitter's down, but Somebody tweeted out, just imagine replacing Karl Anthony Towns last year, with AD and LeBron. If you have Russell and Beasley, you pretty much have most of the Timberwolves team last year that made the playoffs, but you have AD and LeBron. So I think they'd be a much more dangerous team if they add those two players for sure. All right, deadline tomorrow. JJ's got some names for us. We're going to grade our excitement about some of these possibilities. This is not about the impact of the player to the team. This is about our excitement level, and we have levels, Ramie. So it's 1 to 10. David Michinow is a 1 to 2 level.
Okay.
Kessler Edwards is a 3 to 4 level.
All right.
Kevin Huerter is a 5 to 6 level of excitement. Domas is a 7 to 8 level of excitement. And KD is a 9 to 10.
So it's a scale of David Michinow to Kevin Durant.
Yes.
With Kessler Edwards, Kevin Huerter, and Domas in between.
Indeed, because
as
it's
our
our
levels
show.
of excitement.
And this is what we do, because it's
for
Cattles and
potential
Ramie.
trade targets.
All right.
Beautiful.
All right, JJ, give us the first name.
All right, fellas, we're kicking off the trade scale here, rumors with someone that's dear to your heart there, Nick. That'd be my Mr. Plumlee, Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee.
With that being said, the Charlotte Hornets are looking for a first-round pick. We've talked about this through nausea over the last week. Of course, Nick is in love with Mason Plumlee. Are you in love, or are you just okay with him?
I like him.
We'll
a
know
lot.
by the scale here, right here.
You're in like or in love?
So with that being said, Mr. Cattles, rank Mr. Plumlee.
On a scale of David
Michinow
Michinow
to
Kevin
KD.
Durant.
I think he's a Domas, level 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Again, remember what pieces are out there, what's actually available, what you think you're going to be able to get. Mason Plumlee, to me, is one of the best players you can bring into here, reasonably priced, that would help this team immediately.
See,
so give me a Domas 7.
I have him as a Kevin Huerter. He's a 5 or a 6 for me, which is not nothing. I mean, that's a guy who comes in and he's impactful, but I don't think he's like a Domas puts you over. If they got another Domas type of impact player, that puts you over the top into like championship contention. I don't think Mason Plumlee does that.
A lot of people have been mentioning this guy's name from the Houston Rockets. The Kings are playing the Rockets, of course. It looks like he's going to be on the buyout more than the trade. How about an Eric Gordon, fellas? Where are you ranking Eric Gordon as a shooter, what he could do for the Kings, and how to help Mr. Makloff?
This might be disrespectful to an Eric Gordon, but I have him as a Kessler Edwards.
I'm right with you.
On the scale of
I'm
Michinow
not
to
a Kessler
KD,
Edwards.
right? That's
a 4, though. I give him a 4 on the 3-4
sure,
Edwards
but
scale.
it's a Kessler Edwards-ish level of excitement for an Eric Gordon.
Yeah,
right?
because he doesn't really defend. He would help this team shooting for sure.
Sure. He gives you a little shooting off the bench.
I don't think pace when I think Eric Gordon.
No.
So I don't think he's a great fit. He'd help shooting wise. No doubt he'd help shooting wise.
Someone that we've heard rumored with the Kings, that would be Matisse Thybulle, Mr. Cattles.
Matisse Thybulle, I will get. That's a Kevin Huerter for me. That's about a
Really?
5.
That's
That's
where
about
I'm
a
at,
5
too.
or a 6.
Yeah.
I'm not Domas level with that, because he can help you defensively for sure, right? And I had the question yesterday about Davion for Thybulle, and some people said, oh, it's not even an upgrade, it's a lateral move. I disagree, Ramie. I think if you get a wing defender at that level versus a guard defender at that level, I would take the wing defender 10 times out of 10. So I do think Thybulle helps you more than Davion would, especially if Monk is going to be the playmaker. But the problem, and why I'm not more than a 5 or 6 Kevin Huerter for Thybulle, is he can't shoot.
He doesn't bring you any scoring.
So that's not good.
Yeah, that's right where I'm at with a Matisse Thybulle. Again, a guy who comes in, he makes an impact for you, but he's not a guy that he's not a star level player that puts you over the top.
Fellas, I'll finish with this name. I believe most Kings fans, if they could get this person, would be through the roof. So I'm going to start with you, Nick, this time. Pascal Siakam. Remember what you would have to give up for him, probably, too.
I'll give it a Huerter 6.
Thought you
Really?
passed out there
Yeah.
for a second.
Not
Really,
even a
that's it?
Domas, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a great fit for this team.
Why do you say that?
Well, you have to, again, you got to trade money and all of that. So you have to think about price as well. I really like Siakam as a player, but I would imagine you're giving up Keegan. I'd imagine you're giving up Harrison Barnes.
Yeah,
That's the start. That's the start.
You're right. I don't know about fit, but you have your big 3. You have your big 3 if you have Fox, Domas, and Pascal Siakam. And I don't know which one of those is on par with other number ones in big twos and big threes around the NBA, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a better collection of three players on a team elsewhere in the NBA.
Gotta rank them, Ramie.
It's probably Domas 1, Fox 2, Siakam 3 till further notice. I think that could change. He's a Domas level, like a 7 for me in terms of level of interest.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left after this year at $38 million. He's making $35 million. Again, you're talking, I would think Barnes, Keegan, maybe a first round pick in the future, and probably some other guys to make the money work. That's a lot of subtraction for a guy that I don't know would be a perfect fit. So there you go. Not bad. Our debut of the David mission out to Kevin Durant scale.
I love
Just know this will continue to be determined down the road.
JJ's like, this is just the beginning.
We're just getting started here.
We got more coming up next.
Cattles and Ramie.
YouTube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Give us those likes, please.
Only 20. Where y'all at?
More likes means more eyeballs to the channel, which means more eyeballs helps the brand. We're trying to grow, as you know, 6A to 6P, Dave and Jason in the morning, Deuce and Mo, 11 to 2, and then you've got us, 2 to 6.
Yes, sir.
Not today, though.
No.
2 to 3:30 today, as we
Kings
get ready
basketball.
for, the Rockets.
For your number 3 seeded Sacramento Kings.
We have an update from Adrian Wojnarowski. Here we go, in the house. But before we get to that update from Woj, I want to tell you that it's a strange Twitter world right now. So apparently you now have to schedule tweets in this moment to get your tweet out.
Is this a permanent new feature,
I
or
don't
is this
think
a
so.
glitch?
I hope it's just a glitch
in the whole matrix.
I don't want to be scheduling every tweet, but fortunately, Woj figured out somehow, some way that if you schedule the tweet, you get the tweet out. So thanks to Woj,
so you have to schedule it,
who was quicker than Shams on this. And Woj tweeted out just a couple of minutes ago. Again, we brought up the 3-team trade that's being discussed. If you're just joining us, LA, Minnesota, Utah talking deal. D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley would go to the Lakers. Mike Conley would go to Minnesota. Russell Westbrook and a first-round pick would go to Utah. Of course, Utah would buy out Russell Westbrook. I saw some, conjecture on Twitter that maybe Westbrook ends up in Dallas, and you play Luka at the 3 and Kyrie at the 2, and you got Westbrook as kind of your engine attacking the rim with Luka and Kyrie shooting.
That doesn't sound like it could go wrong at all.
But I did see some of that. But here's the latest from Woj. 3-team trade is largely hinging on how Minnesota values Russell and potential deal in their return of draft assets. Lakers and Jazz have significant deal structure in place, but Minnesota has been engaged elsewhere on Russell too. So Minnesota is holding this up. And the one question, if I'm the Timberwolves front office right now, I understand the Utah intention here. Utah wants to rebuild that puppy, right? They're happy with Lauri Markkanen. You imagine they'll keep him. Kessler they'll keep as well. He's been fantastic in his rookie season. There's a rumor out there that, Utah could be looking to, send Jared Vanderbilt to another team for a couple of second-round picks, and now they're involved in this. Utah's intentions, Ramie. Utah wants to gather as many picks as possible, especially after the Gobert and Donovan Mitchell trades. And so that's what they're looking at. They're looking to grab pieces, to grab assets. What's the intention here for Minnesota? Because if you're the Timberwolves, with how tight the West is, do you not look at this and go, wait a minute, we'd be helping LA? Why would you want to make the Lakers better?
I think the D'Angelo Russell situation is coming to a head there in two separate ways. They haven't been able to come to terms on a contract between Russell and the Timberwolves, and I believe he's a free agent after this year, if I'm not mistaken. So they don't want him walking away for nothing. And also, Anthony Edwards has become a little bit more ball dominant in his development out there in Minnesota, and that's taken the ball out of D'Angelo Russell's hands. And D'Angelo Russell, without the ball in his hands, is not the best version of D'Angelo Russell that he can be. So I think that there are two different ways that situation is coming to a head, and they feel like they have to move on from D'Angelo Russell, and getting Mike Conley in the deal ain't the worst it could be.
Maybe they're looking at this and they're saying, well, Mike Conley will make us better. So yeah, we'll make the Lakers better, but we feel like we'll be better than
we'll still be better than the Lakers, right?
And maybe the holdup here, and they're kind of haggling, is, well, can we send Russell to somewhere else, upgrade our team still, without having to trade Russell to another Western Conference team, especially a team like the Lakers, who are nipping kind of at our heels? Maybe that's part of the conversation as well. And if you're the Kings, look, if I'm Monty, this absolutely puts a little bit more pressure on me. If this trade happens, I now believe not one but two teams in the Western Conference that are behind me just got better. And if they're getting better, I've got to get better.
Got to.
So this is kind of the domino effect. I was reading today that, the league's kind of held up a little bit because they're waiting to see if Kevin Durant is actually traded. And I know somebody yesterday in the YouTube chat asked that question. Inevitably, Kevin Durant is not going to stall all trades. I think teams are just waiting to see if the Nets are willing to hang on late into the process, and they're actually going to hold on to him.
I think they would already know by this point.
I would hope.
Right.
Especially because Durant asked for a trade in the summer.
Right.
So a lot of this framework was probably done in the summer.
You would imagine that as soon as Kyrie Irving requested a trade, not even when he was traded, when he requested a trade, and it was pretty obvious that he was going to get it, that teams around the league who thought they had a legitimate chance and had interest in Kevin Durant picked up the phone and called Brooklyn and said, hey, what are you guys doing with KD? Because we saw that Kyrie news. Those calls had to happen, and they were given an idea of their interest in moving on from Kevin Durant or what it would cost.
You're looking, and we'll get a little bit more into this in a few minutes, but you're really looking at the Western Conference if you're Monty. And, yeah, you're the 3 seed, but we can't get held up on the 3 seed. We've talked about this, Ramie, for, a month or two. The West is so tight. You are like 2 or 3 bad weeks away from plummeting down and maybe being in the play-in or out of the playoffs completely.
Mm-hmm.
So if teams behind you, if teams underneath you in the standings are getting better, you have to in turn get better.
Yeah, there has to be a move.
The separation between you and some of those other teams, even if we're talking about teams 7, 8, 9, 10, there's not a gigantic gap between those. Simone just tweeted in parentheses for some reason. Parentheses, is that like your whisper voice? Is that what you're doing here?
Yeah, it's just I'm just testing it. It's not intended to be a real tweet, but I know it's a real tweet out there.
I say you tweeted it, so it's real.
Yeah, I'm just testing.
So she tweeted, I guess in whisper form, she's saying if you really have to schedule tweets. And yes, I liked her tweet to prove to her you do have to schedule tweets right now.
It is really haggard out there. It's so bad. I can't.
I saw some people are tweeting that Instagram is down too.
What is happening?
People are going to have to go outside and look at the sun.
Brains are going to melt.
Right? People are going to have to go do stuff.
All right, we'll
not stare at their phone.
We'll continue. We'll continue to discuss the deadline and how the Kings can be affected by some of these moves. Take a look at the standings and how we feel about some of these other teams. We'll do that coming up next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
now belongs to LeBron James.
Cattles and Ramie.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
History. As Ramie was shopping for oranges.
No, I was watching Arrested Development.
That's the number one thing I said, too. I was like, he was shopping for sure.
We learned one thing yesterday during the show. It's Ramie's love of shopping.
I do love shopping.
By the way, somebody commented in the YouTube chat.
Yes.
And give us a like, please. More likes, more eyeballs. We see many of you viewing and listening to the show. We appreciate every one of you. Likes help us an awful lot here at Sactown Sports. Build that channel and go 6A to 6P as we're doing with live and local coverage. But somebody said we look like we have like floodlights on us.
I like the lighting.
And I'm happy
do, with the lighting.
Looking at this, I do kind of feel like we seem like we're trapped in a cave a little bit.
I think your lighting is good. I'm wondering if I should move my lighting around to be more in front of me. Should I try that?
No.
Right now, live on the air?
If you'd like.
No? I'm going to try it.
People can watch you like you're a zoo animal. There's Ramie moving the light. They can't see you. I don't think we can see you. You're off.
They'll see if the lighting is better when I sit back down.
Okay.
Simone's coming in.
How's that?
It's live radio
Set
here.
designer and Simone came in.
I don't know if was it Tony?
What do
Tony's
we
like
think?
somebody.
What? Oh yeah.
Was it you, Tony? I don't know. Somebody.
That might be a little. It might be a little bright though. No, is that a little bright
I think we're good.
on me?
Moving forward.
Okay.
We're gonna.
You
move
brought
this.
it up, man.
I know. I didn't know it was gonna become a thing, but
You
with
knew
you,
it.
it all becomes a thing. You gotta move the lighting. You gotta do this. You gotta do that.
Again, you should know me by now.
Okay.
Just like
Okay,
yesterday when
okay,
you were
okay,
saying when you said something that you knew I would react to.
Okay. God forbid a guy says dribble penetration on a sports radio
Are
show.
you gonna do it again?
I mean, it's been said a million times on sports radio.
Not in the context.
Dribble penetration.
Not in the context.
Moving on. So you heard the great call by BA last night on TNT.
That was really good too. Love me some BA.
That was great stuff.
My God.
We'll get back to the basketball and obviously Kings, Western Conference, the trade rumors. If you're just joining us, there's a rumored trade being discussed between the Lakers, Timberwolves, and Utah Jazz. D'Angelo Russell would be going to the Lakers along with Malik Beasley. Minnesota would get Mike Conley, and Utah would get Russell Westbrook in a first-round pick. Now, Westbrook would then be bought out. The latest from Woj is that Minnesota's kind of hanging this deal up because they're trying to get the best package for D'Angelo Russell they can. And apparently it's about their return of draft assets, according to Woj. So the deal that was talked about today, I don't think had any draft assets going to Minnesota. So maybe Minnesota's like, look, yeah, Mike Conley's good and all, but we want to make this move to help us in the future as well. So maybe they're trying to get a pick or two from somebody else.
I think the price for D'Angelo Russell might be limited because people see what I talked about in the last segment, that he's not a great fit on the court, not as great a fit as he was a year ago, and it doesn't look like they can agree to a contract. So I think that drives his price down.
By the way, we're trying our best to give you the latest on these because Twitter is down, and apparently not only Twitter is down, so is Instagram.
And get your Twitter game up and your Instagram game and your TikTok.
And your TikTok?
And Facebook too, I think.
Yeah, and Facebook, because Sactown Sports 1140 tells us Down Detector, a site that reports website outages, reporting outages across Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook this afternoon.
People are going to be civilized with each other for a day.
I will tell you.
Yes?
I'm realizing how addicted I am to Twitter with it being down right now. I keep checking. Like I can't stop hitting the Twitter tab on my computer here.
I do keep refreshing, but I'm not like I'm not anxious
Like
or anything
nonstop.
that it's not there.
By the way, again,
That's
before we get to the Kings, quick update on Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is going to have surgery. The surgery is going to be coming up in late February. They say he's going to be ready by training camp. I don't quite understand that because the full recovery is 6 months. If he gets it in late February, he's coming back in late August. I understand that they say he can start throwing after 3 months, but he would not have played any games. And is he going to be actually practicing full throttle? I don't think so. So training camp starts in like early to mid July. So I'm not a math major or anything, but that's 4.5 months away, 5 months away. So 6 month recovery doesn't add up here.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe that's just a hopeful recovery time. It doesn't add up to me either, Nick. But I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're being told by surgeons, that this is a 6 month thing. It's Tommy John surgery, but
you don't think John Lynch is just guessing?
No, probably
darts?
not. It's Tommy John surgery, but they say that because the throwing motions are different, that it's a completely different recovery process and timeline for quarterbacks than it is for
then
pitchers.
I'm angry at all those reporters that were like 6-month recovery, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. Maybe hold off on the timeline if there's some particulars that are not ironed out yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, Ramie, but just so we make sure that we're clear, Tommy John is a complete reconstruction of the elbow. Purdy is a ligament of it.
Okay.
So just, as a baseball guy, I got to throw that out there, man. You know what I mean?
No. I'm
Dr. Johnson in the house.
Hey, listen, MD, baby, Doogie Howser.
By the way, Twitter seems to be back working, maybe, possibly, fingers crossed. So we're through our long national nightmare. Meanwhile, couple things last night. Did you see Anthony Davis's reaction or lack thereof for LeBron breaking the record? There's a video and there's a picture of him just kind of sitting on the bench, looking out aimlessly as LeBron breaks the all-time scoring record.
That's weird, right?
I wonder if there's something. Is there something personal? Is he not feeling well? Like TNT, they had LeBron on audio last night. They had him mic'd up.
Yeah.
And there was a part after LeBron broke the record. I think it was sometime in the fourth quarter. TNT went to LeBron and AD sitting on the bench, and LeBron kind of just patted him on the shoulder and said, "I love you." And AD said something. He was like, "Yeah, I know, I love you." So I don't know if that was just like a basketball thing or if there's something else deeper here going on with AD, and LeBron was kind of giving him some of, hey man, I love you. I know you're here tonight. Something's going on here. I don't know. And if it's not anything, then it was a very weird reaction to not have one.
It could have been nothing. Maybe he just spaced out. Didn't know. You know what? I don't know, but it's odd that you're literally the only person in the arena not standing. Even after the shot went down, you're literally the only person in the entire arena who is not standing.
Yes, it was weird.
It's very weird.
Again, if he's not feeling well, if
the guy is permanently injured, so maybe he's just resting his bones.
Fair. And there was also a story, which now we circle back, resting the old bones. We circle back to the Woj story this morning. Russell Westbrook and Darvin Ham had a little bit of a back and forth in the locker room at halftime. No blows were thrown. It didn't get too crazy, but voices were raised, apparently. And you wonder, I don't think that makes Rob Pelinka turn around and trade Westbrook. I think they've been trying to trade him for a long time. But maybe that gave them a little bit more urgency to get something done because of what happened last night at halftime.
This is like you're having a birthday party for yourself, and like people, like fights are breaking out. Somebody's crying in the corner. Like LeBron is breaking.
It's crazy.
He's breaking the NBA scoring record.
The record that people thought would not be broken.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, AD's just sitting there like, whatever.
These guys are,
and Westbrook's yelling.
These guys are like the bridesmaids arguing in the corner at the wedding reception, or the groomsmen. You know what I mean? Like, let the dude have you want to have a blow up, Russell Westbrook or Darvin Ham? Pick a different night, man. Let LeBron have his night. Let the dude get his flowers. He's about to set the NBA scoring record.
We'll talk Kang's trade deadline predictions coming up next.
Cattles and Ramie. other, we're still trying to figure that out.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Mic check.
Mike check.
YouTube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Give us them likes if you like the brand, if you like the show. More likes, more eyeballs, 6A to 6P, live and local. Dave and Jason in the morning, Deuce and Mo in the midday, and yours truly in the afternoon here, 2 to 6. As Simone just told you before she told us that we need to light the boom, baby. We have game night coming up.
Yes, sir.
In about a half hour.
Yes, we
do.
So
we'll have Rockets Kings coverage for you starting at 3:30 right here on Sactown Sports.
I'm going to watch the game live tonight.
Yeah. It's a big deal for you.
Can't spoil it for me with your beam.
The only place in Sacramento that you can listen to the game right here. Sactown Sports.
How about that?
Simone.
Sacramento in the house.
Simone is demanding 50 likes on YouTube, and I would suggest that all of you follow.
I mean,
she will find you if you don't.
50 should be a given, right, Simone?
That's easy. That's light work.
50 is easy.
I mean, Deuce and Mo get 50 likes by taking a nap in the first 10 minutes of the show if they want to.
Man, that's easy.
Totally.
They don't even have to ask to get 100 in the first 20. Anyway, so we look at this, Ramie, and the deadline is now 21 hours away. It's tomorrow at noon our time that the deadline will have come and gone. And we're looking at the Western Conference, and the Kings, yes, they are the third seed in the West still. But as we talked about a little bit earlier, it's not as if they've run away from the pack here. They've gone 5-5 over their last 10 games, while the Clippers and Suns have gone 8-2. I am not a math professor, but that tells me that both the Clippers and Suns have picked up 3 games on you over the last 10. They've picked up 3 games.
I'm going to double check your math.
So now you look at the Clippers, and the Clippers are only 1 game behind you. Getting all choked up.
They've gained 3 games on them.
1 game behind you, the Clippers. A game and a half, Phoenix behind you. And 2 games behind you are the Mavericks with now Kyrie Irving, and you play them on Friday and Saturday night in a back-to-back at Golden 1. So this is still nip and tuck. So when we talk about 3 seed, it feels great to be the 3 seed. You'd rather be the 3 seed than the 7 seed. But this is very, very, very tight. This is very tight. And as we've mentioned, you know, everybody's kind of looking at this trade between the Lakers and the Jazz and the Timberwolves being discussed. And if D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley go to the Lakers are better. If the Timberwolves get Mike Conley, they're better. So 2 of those teams, when you look at the Wolves, the Timberwolves are 3 games behind you right now with 29 games left to play if you're the Kings. Lakers, I'm a little less, worried about because they're 6 games behind you. But still, they got AD, they got LeBron, and if they add Beasley and D'Angelo Russell, they're much better now than they were just 20 minutes ago. So with that in mind, as we look at the my voice is dying.
Yeah, right there, pal.
Hold on. There we go. That's what I needed. I tried a couple times to professionally do it. I tried one time not to professionally do it, and then I just said, I got to shut this mic off.
I knew what you were going through. I was waiting for an opening to jump in there and talk for a minute to help you out, but you weren't giving me one.
I was rattling.
Yeah, you were going off.
So 1 year ago today, you had the Hallie Domas trade. 1 year ago today, the reaction, I know you weren't here at the time. I was here at the time. I remember doing that show. I like the trade. There were a lot of people in the YouTube world and Twitter telling me I was crazy. I think a lot more people feel better about that trade today than they did a year ago.
You think they do?
But Ramie, right now, again, deadline, less than 21 hours away. You got the Kessler-Edwards trade. There are rumors about Matisse Thybulle, Mason Plumlee, Nerlens Noel. What do you think happens in the next 21 hours?
As I look at the Western Conference, Nick, I see the Denver Nuggets and the Memphis Grizzlies and then a bunch of teams, right? I mean, isn't that what we're looking at when we talk about the Western Conference? You have the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, and a bunch of teams. Now, I would put Sacramento, not just in terms of the standings and the records and where they're at right now. I would put the Kings near the top or at the front of that pack of a bunch of teams in the Western Conference. I don't think, and I don't necessarily expect them to make a move that catapults them into the class of the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, I'm not looking for that. I don't even know if that move is even out there or if they have what it would take to land that type of guy if he is out there. But I am looking for a move that separates them from that group that I just referred to as a bunch of teams in the Western Conference. I need something that separates you from the Clippers and the Suns and the Mavericks. After those three, honestly, Nick, I don't look at the rest of the Western Conference with a whole lot of fear. And I know how tight it is as you just laid out, but after the Clippers, Suns, and Mavs, and this trade that we've been talking about today could change this and might change. I might have to re-gauge the Western Conference and what I think of all of them. But after those three teams, I don't really see much to be scared of. You need something that either separates you, or if those teams make moves, the Clippers, Suns, and Mavs, or keeps you on par with those three teams near the top of that group, or even separates you a little bit at the top of that group of a bunch of other teams. I don't expect them to make a move that puts them in the class of Denver or Memphis. That I'm not looking for.
Let's remember yesterday, Sean Cunningham told us that the Kings are being aggressive, and he thinks they will continue to be aggressive. And if you look at Monty's history here, he's active. He trades at least once or twice per deadline. He's been a pretty active GM. He was very active in the offseason. So I think Monty, he strikes me as one of those GMs that goes above and beyond due diligence and is on the phone and, trying to come up with all different sorts of deals that you can put together. Remember, he's from the Daryl Morey camp, and Morey is well known to be Captain Analytical and to come out with, a million different types of trades and ways to bring people into the program. And I think Monty is very similar in a way where he's sitting down and he's working through all of it. Now, of course, all GMs are doing work, but I do think there are GMs that are more prone to be busy and active than others, and Monty is on that list. So I think my expectation is something is going to get done. At least one move will be made, and it's not going to be the Kessler-Edwards trade. I think there's going to be something else done. A legitimate
move.
Yeah, a legitimate move.
We created the scale of Mitch now to Kevin Durant.
We did.
In terms of our interest or excitement level over potential trade targets. On that scale, with Kessler Edwards, Kevin Huerter, and Domas Sabonis being somewhere in between those two guys, what kind of move do you expect? Will you be happy with if Monty McNair makes it between now and tomorrow?
I tweeted out today my top 5 list, and these are guys that I think could be available. Mason Plumlee, I've been talking about him for a while. Mm-hmm. Plumlee's a guy that if they traded for Plumlee, I'd be very happy. I'd be very, very happy. Jared Vanderbilt is another name. If they traded for Vanderbilt, I'd be very happy. The other 3 guys on my list there were Naz Reid, Josh Hart, and Jay Crowder. Now, if Crowder wants to start, he's out. Sorry, Jay, you haven't played all year long. You don't have that leverage, not having it. I'm not bringing somebody in that demands to start. One of the things about this team is the chemistry and how they gel and the vibe. That could mess it all up if you have somebody come in and go, I must start. Some of the other names, I think, Ramie, that are on the peripheral that would interest me, I also included those. Mo Bamba, I've talked about him a lot since last summer. Nerlens Noel is a name that I think could help you athletically, block shots, grab some rebounds. Here's a name. We haven't talked about him a lot because it probably would cost you too much. Sadiq Bey. He's not really in the greatest of graces right now in Detroit. And he's a guy who he's got good size. He's not a great defender, but he can defend. And he's a good shooter. So Sadiq Bey would be on my list. Jalen McDaniels from Charlotte and PJ Washington, a couple of guys from Charlotte, would also make the list. McDaniels doesn't shoot that well this year. I've seen him make shots, but I wouldn't call him a super duper uber threat. PJ Washington, the question about him is money. But if you're going to move on from Harrison Barnes this offseason, PJ Washington's the guy that I'm looking at that I could say, oh, yeah, you can bring him in and he can play alongside Keegan, starting next year. You sign him to a long-term extension. He's young. He can shoot. So those are the names that I look at. Something like that. I mean, I would hope.
That's a Kevin Huerter level impact. Like a guy who you bring in and you kind of know what you're getting.
I think some of those names might, go to like the Domas 7 level. But most of them are, yes, Kevin Huerter. Like, I don't think you're going to get a major impact top 5 guy. on your team, right? I think you might get a top 8 guy. That's my hope, that they bring somebody in that'll help the rotation and will be in the top 8. I don't think you're going to see, a guy who's going to come in and start tomorrow. Let's put it that way. I don't think you're going to have that kind of trade. But maybe he will.
Folks will find out right here. Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports.
I can't wait. I love this time of year.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I think it's one of the best things about the NBA. Now, I don't know if this year will be as exciting. It might be a little anticlimactic when all is said and done, but one of my favorite things about the NBA is this type of stuff, the movement of players and just the buzz around their free agency and their trade deadline day. Love it.
It is 3:12 on this Wednesday. Time check is brought to you by Coastside Medical Clinic, dedicated to providing breakthrough remedies for men. We'll have an update on the Warriors. They might be busy. We'll also have a whole lot more, including a press conference that just made me shake my head. It's coming up in 90 seconds.
Cattles and Ramie. Cattles and Ramie. And more.
This is Cattles and Ramie
On Sactown Sports.
According to Monte Poole from NBC Sports Bay Area, the Warriors are looking to potentially package James Wiseman and Moses Moody in a deal. And I've seen a couple of things today saying the Warriors could be more aggressive than people would expect. And we talked about it, Ramie, on yesterday's show. If they trade James Wiseman, try to absorb this, everybody. If they trade him,
don't they save a Brinks truck of money?
They save $131 million.
That's not a number you just made up. That's real. That's for real.
So for real number.
Yes.
Just by trading Wiseman, they would save $131 million because of the luxury tax stuff and the penalties and all that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely insane.
Just to get rid of the guy.
Yeah.
One guy.
A salary
saves
dump.
you $131 million.
It's a salary dump times a trillion when you look at other salary dumps in the league. And that tells you how much you're you're spending if you're Joe Lacob. By the way, we do have a YouTube poll up, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. If you're the Kings GM, you would option A, add a big /3-and-D guy. Option B, make no moves. Option C, hire Frankie just to trade him. I would hire Frankie Cardicelli just to trade him. That would be my pick out of that poll. But as far as make no moves or add a big and a 3-and-D guy, I would look to add a big and a 3-and-D guy. I feel like a broken record at this point. We've talked about it a lot, Ramie, on this show. To me, those are the two major needs. And that 3-and-D guy, like, I know sometimes we focus on the defense because of the statistics we've talked about, and Mike Brown, his frustration level. And, sometimes we see some of these quarters where teams are scoring 35, 40 points. But I think we should spend as much time on the three part because this team does need shooting off the bench.
I think we need to spend some time on why you hate Frankie so much. What did the dude do to you? Is what I want to know.
I hate you.
We don't have enough time today.
I was asked today.
We might not have enough time the rest of this month.
I was asked today by Deuce and Mo in the crosstalk if I was to have people over for the Super Bowl. I'm not, but if I was to have people over for the Super Bowl, would I invite Frankie?
Oh,
or
that
Nick?
was the conversation that Deuce said he would not invite me to his.
Yes, because you would come in and start wiping everything down.
God forbid I don't want to invite somebody over because they would clean my house. What?
That's what I said. I said he'd leave the place cleaner than he found it. What's the problem there? You usually have to clean up after people after a Super Bowl party. Would I need to only invite either you or it would be you? You're my co-host. We spend hours a day together, and it would be awkward if I didn't. Would I need to pick either you or Frankie if I was having a station get-together? Which I'm not. But if I was having a station get-together, would I need to pick?
Everybody's putting me in a very difficult position right now.
I told him it's not that serious. Things aren't that tense between Frankie and Nick.
No.
Right? No. Right?
No. Do I keep the bit going or do I...
It's the Boston, New York thing, right? It's the
No,
Yankees
I don't know.
thing. I always say that.
I have no problems with Frankie.
We love you, Frankie.
Okay.
I love you, Frankie.
I have no problem.
All right. If you say so, I'll take your word for it.
A little defensive sometimes. A little irritating.
He's with us the whole 3 o'clock hour of the show tomorrow, right?
Boy, loves a hard-boiled egg, that's for sure.
The whole hour.
The whole hour, yes.
Frank, have to be.
You're acting like you just found out about this.
Carticelli and Ramie tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 4. Looks like I got a 3-hour show tomorrow, fellas.
Tomorrow, 3 to 4, Frankie Carticelli, our Kings insider.
Frankie's good.
He's a good man.
He is.
He's a good man, Frankie.
He's fine. I have no problem with Frankie.
Okay.
I like going back and forth with him.
You're saying that.
And I was the one that
something underlying.
I was the one
that
that
way
walked,
you're saying it.
I was the one that walked into the studio yesterday and he gave me the eyes. He's glaring at me.
Okay.
Anyway, we got bigger things to talk about
We
here
do.
than Frankie Carticelli.
Bigger fish to fry.
Really solid job by TNT last night. BA with a great call. The countdown, the ceremony, the congratulations video. The one part of last night I did not get was Drake. What was happening here?
I don't know.
LeBron, what a legendary night in NBA history. You're breaking the all-time scoring record. And to honor that, I had to come back to the place that it all started, Akron, Ohio. Every journey has its beginning. And tonight, I lied to you. I'm actually still at the club in Miami, but definitely all the girls say congrats though, right, girls? Congrats, right? Congrats, brother. Sorry.
You ever see the GIF?
Just trying too hard.
You see the GIF of the guy that's sitting there at the, I think it was the Mets game or whatever. He's
Yeah,
just
he's
sitting there
giving
with
the
his
thumbs down.
That's what I'm
He's
doing
trying
right now.
way too hard.
It's all the YouTube people.
Drake is trying way too hard.
First of all, why do we need Drake to be a part of this?
There were a lot of celebrities.
It was, yeah, but
Rihanna was in it. There were a lot of celebrities in there. Why not Drake?
I'm surprised he wasn't out walking on the floor.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't at the game.
His last album was terrible too, by the way.
The one
Just talk about how trash
the one
that
with
was.
21 Savage or the one before that?
Yes, I'm with you. Yep.
Trash. I thought he was trolling people. That's how bad the album is.
I like a few songs on it. That Sticky song is pretty good.
Anyway, I did not need Drake during the night. And I especially did not need Drake doing a terrible SNL skit with the green screen behind it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That was
cringy.
That was about as funny as a funeral.
Pretty cringy.
There was nothing going on. I'm like, what is this? What is this? Drake. You know who drives me crazy?
Who do you dislike
Not
more,
Frankie.
Drake or Frankie?
Not Frankie, not Drake. But Kyrie Irving's insufferable press conferences. He spoke with the Dallas media for the first time yesterday.
Boy, this was an exercise in a lack of self-awareness here.
What a blessing to have Kyrie sitting down and talking into a
Let's
microphone.
go.
Here he was.
For me personally, just sitting in the seat today, I just know I want to be places where I'm celebrated. and not just tolerated or just, kind of dealt with in a way that doesn't make me feel respected. And there were times throughout this process when I was in Brooklyn where I felt very disrespected, and my talent. I work extremely hard at what I do. No one ever talks about my work ethic, though. Everyone talks about what I'm doing off the floor. So I just want to change that narrative and write my own story and just continue to prepare in the gym. And now that I'm in Dallas, just focus on what I can control, like I said.
We celebrate people who deserve to be celebrated.
You know what?
What has Kyrie done since the big shot in Game 7 as a Cavalier that needed to be celebrated as a basketball player?
You know what I feel like Kyrie expects of his employer is unconditional love, which is not a thing.
Yeah, this is not your
in
girlfriend.
The professional world. Like,
not your wife.
They will treat you as well as you treat them. And Nick, 99.9% of the time I take the employee's side in employer-employee disagreements. Okay, I'm almost always on the side of the guy or gal that's working and not the person who's employing them. But he wasn't celebrated in Brooklyn. Dude, I don't know if there's ever been a more celebrated gathering of talent
in
the NBA
than
Kyrie and KD and the variations that they went through of trying to put people around.
And by the way, he distracts from the good.
Yes.
Like he gets in the way. He gets in the way of being celebrated at times. But this comment takes the cake.
It's water on the bridge now. Like, I wish them well. I left them in 4th place. I did what I was supposed to do. Took care of my teammates. Was incredibly selfless in my approach to leading. I just want to do all the right things for myself, not to appease anybody that had something negative to say about me or they judge me. This basketball game, it's fun, and I want to keep it that way. I want to stay competitive and just work hard. So
incredibly selfless. He was an incredibly selfless leader in Brooklyn. He was showing such selflessness when he decided to just walk away from the team for a couple of weeks randomly a couple of years ago. He showed tremendous selflessness when he decided to not get the vaccine. No matter how you feel about the vaccine, he made the decision not to get the vaccine, which took him away for half of the season. That's not a selfless act.
There are a lot of ways to describe Kyrie Irving. Some of those adjectives would be bad. A lot of those adjectives would be good. I don't think it's all bad when it comes to Kyrie Irving, but one I would not use, especially when it comes to him as a teammate and as a basketball player, is selfless. That is he's
delusional.
He is.
He's up straight, non-negotiable, absolutely 100% delusional.
He lacks all self-awareness.
And I did what I needed to do.
You did not.
They're in 4th place, bro. You were supposed to win a championship with Kevin Durant. You did not do what you were supposed to do. If I was in Dallas, if I'm in the Dallas front office,
it's still everybody's fault but Kyrie.
If I have to do anything, if I have any responsibility in Dallas, I'm watching that yesterday going, all right, well, we got ourselves in this.
Yep.
We got ourselves stuck into this thing. All right, great job by JJ and Simone. We got game night coming up next, Ramie. We'll talk tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
Till then, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports.
Like a preemie out the womb. My partner yelling too soon. Don't do it. Reconsider. Read some litter. Sure on the